Hey everyone, it's Charlene. Today I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy card using the brand new Lovely Layers doves. These are so easy to use. I'm cutting out several pieces out of plain white cardstock. So I've got the main dove piece and then I have a couple of little accent pieces and I'll show you exactly where they go. I'm going to use the outer die cut portion, the negative that was left over, for the little tail accents when I'm gluing them in. This is a great way to make sure that your die cuts line up with your other dies when you're layering. So I've got that taped down and I can add a little bit of glue to the back of each of those detail feathers and then just pop them through that negative piece. It makes it really easy to do. Now this layering dove in the set, there is a second piece that you can layer over the entire dove before you add the detail pieces. I chose not to use it for this card, but it's a really pretty option as well. And then there is also a second full dove that has a double layer to it. So beautiful, beautiful doves, great for holiday cards, and I like how lifelike they look. Very pretty. So I'm getting about done here with the detail pieces, and you can see on my glass mat there, I also have a little ribbon that I've cut out of red cardstock. And then that teeny tiny little black dot there is the dove's eye, and the tiny orange dot is its beak. And then I've got a different color of orange for the feet. I like to use a different color for feet on birds than their beak if I'm doing them in orange. I think it just adds a little bit more interest to the card. So I've glued the last piece in there and now I can go ahead and pull that up. I'm using some highlighter tape so I know it won't stick. For the eye and the beak, I'm just going to put a tiny, tiny little dot of glue. You don't want to overdo it. It is really easy though to line up the beak and the eye. I just recommend using some kind of wax tipped tool. It makes the process a lot easier. And once I have those, now I can just glue those tiny little feet on there. There's no specific place that the feet need to go, but I glued mine right in the center of the bottom of the wing. I thought that looked nice right there. So now you may be wondering what I'm going to do with that red bow piece. Well, I'm going to bring out a second set from the new release. This is the Lovely Layers Front Porch Holiday Add-on. So there's this gorgeous die set that is a front porch, and this is the add-on set that you can use to decorate that front porch for the holidays. Lots of cute options in this set. You've got a snowman and a wreath and a little tree and just all kinds of things. I die cut the wreath from a nice kind of darkish green color of cardstock, and I'm just going to dot randomly here some glue. I've die cut some red and some silver glitter cardstock using the tiny little circle dies that come with that set. Now I'm just going to randomly place the tiny pieces of red and silver glitter cardstock here and there around the wreath to make it look like a nice holiday wreath that has a lot of really pretty ornaments on it. So there is that finished wreath. I love anything in miniature. I think it's so cute. So here's where that red bow die cut is going to come in. I'm going to put a little dot of glue behind the bird's head because that's going to secure the ribbon so that it looks like the dove is holding it in its beak. And then I'm going to have that ribbon come down and around over the front of the wing. This is going to hold our wreath. So I'm going to add a little glue to the front of that ribbon and then I can go ahead and glue my wreath on there. Now I do want this wreath to have a little bit of dimension. I don't want it to be flat up against the bird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tiniest of little foam squares. You could also do this with scrap cardstock, but I'm just going to place some tiny little foam squares that I've cut in half back behind the wreath on the areas that it's going to sit on the dove. So that's going to let it be popped up off of the dove. It's going to create that added dimension, and I think it looks really nice. What a cute, sweet little holiday dove we have here bringing this gorgeous Christmas wreath. And you can see there is not a lot going on in terms of the number of die cuts that I'm using for this card. So it is pretty quick and easy to put together. For our background, I'm going to use the Snowy Pines 3D embossing folder. I'm running this through my die cutting machine here. You do want to make sure that you use the right sandwich when you are running 3D embossing folders through your die cutting machine. It'll vary based on the machine. So you can see the beautiful pattern that this leaves. Look at those gorgeous pine cones and all of that lovely spruce fir tree. I love it. So I'm going to come in here with some Tree Lot Distress Mica stain, and I am just going to spray this in my Splat Box here. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm putting several sprays, just making sure I get the whole paper covered. I let it dry, and look at that magic. It's just beautiful. You don't have to do a lot to create a really interesting background. Coming in here now with some Picket Fence Distress Spray Stain. I've just taken the top out of my bottle after I shook it up, and I'm going to tap it. And it's going to dry back quite a bit, and it's going to kind of show a little bit of the green through it, which is actually going to look really nice. It gives it almost a bokeh effect. I'm going to line that panel once dry, back up in my embossing folder. It fits right in there like a puzzle piece. And when it comes out, it has all of that beautiful dimension again. For our sentiment, I'm going to use the Peace, Love, and Joy stamp set. I've used this before on my cards. I think this is such a classy looking sentiment set. Love it. So I have stamped out the sentiment piece, and then I used the coordinating die to cut that out. I did cut it out 2 additional times with the die cut, so that way I could glue them together and give it some dimension. And then for my sub-sentiment, I stamped out Wishing You and cut that with the coordinating die as well, and did the same thing. That added little bit of dimension can add a lot to your cards. And because you're using cardstock, you know it's going to stay nice and sturdy. Now I can go ahead and put my card together. So I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of that beautiful Snowy Pines background that we made. Man, that is so quick, you guys. You got to try those spray stains if you haven't tried them yet. And I'm going to put that background piece on top of a piece of the silver glitter cardstock so that I get a really thin glittery border around the edge. Now I've got some foam tape on the back of there, and I'm going to pop that onto my white card base. This is an A2 sized card, so it's 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. And I've got about 1/4 inch white border all the way around there. And then that glitter cardstock border, it's really 1/8 inch at most. It's probably closer to 1/16 inch. It's just a little peak, and that's going to tie in really well with those little sparkly glittery spots we have on our wreath. So I've put my sentiment on top. I have not adhered it yet. I like to do this when I'm trying to get an idea of placement for my main element. I've put some foam tape on the back of our beautiful dove there. I'm just figuring out where I want to have it before I commit. And once I decide, I can go ahead and push that down and adhere it to the background. For the sentiment, for the Wishing You and for the Peace, I'm going to use some liquid glue to glue those onto our beautiful background. Now, sometimes when you have a lot of dimension from a 3D embossing folder, you can run into an issue with putting down your sentiment. You want to make sure you have enough glue on the back of there that the parts that are touching the paper are adhering. You don't need a lot of places touching in order for the glue to hold. So just keep that in mind. Get a good amount of glue on there when you're working with 3D embossing folders like this. So here is our finished card. Look at all of that gorgeous shine and shimmer. I mean, it just looks like It took so much longer to make that background, you guys, and it was so easy. Great for quick holiday cards. All right, guys, I hope you picked up some tips and tricks today. Please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell, so that way I can continue bringing you more crafty content in the future. Until next time, happy crafting.